Hello, and welcome to Let's Be Real Mama Journeys. I'm Nikki Brooker, the host of this podcast. And in our podcast, we like to explore motherhood in a way that is honest, real, and authentic. And in studio, we have Allison Bray. Hi, Allison.
Hi, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
I am good. I'm so excited to talk with you.
I'm so excited to hear your story and have you share your story. So, first, let's start with who you are, what you do, and anything else you want to share with the people.
Yeah, so I'm Allison Bray, the founder of My Motherhood Agenda, which is a line of planners designed for motherhood. All of our planners include things you would find in a typical planner, but also include things like reminders about diapers, laundry, grocery lists, meal planning, all of that good stuff, and also include self-care. The foundation of our business is really highlighting to mothers that self-care is important. It's not just something, face masks and pedicures and things like that, but it's something that they need to integrate into their lives. And so we wanted to make something that would remind moms to take care of themselves and put themselves on their to-do list. So it's integrated in all of our agendas, that it's on every daily, weekly, monthly reminder that they should take care of themselves. Um, I kind of started this out of my own journey of postpartum and all that went into that, and realized I wasn't taking care of myself and saw what that was doing to my mental health, how I was mothering, and all the things. And so I, through my own like therapy journey and all that, I realized, oh, self care is necessary, right? It's not something that I can put off anymore. And so I started making my own little to do list of how I can take care of myself today, tomorrow, next week, and so on. And I was like, I have so many lists going on. I really need to have just like one place that's all of the things I need to get done. And I can look at it and have it streamlined and not look like it's an overwhelming amount of stuff I need to do. And what do you know? I started doing it. I started actually taking care of myself and making sure, hey, I went on that 10-minute walk, or hey, I called a friend for, 10 minutes. And those little things all added up. And so I was like, other moms need to get their hands on this. And so, what do you know? My motherhood agenda was born, and here we are.
Love it. Love it. I wish I would have had it. It's so funny as I have older kids and grow and learn of all of the things that are out there. I just go, oh God, that would have been so nice. So, love that you created this. Love that, hate that you were in a position that you felt like you needed to because nobody else had done it, but love that you did. And then said, now other mamas can really benefit from this too. So, which is, what Yana's all about too. So we're all about
Yeah.
like, oh, I didn't have it, so let's build it. So I love that.
Yeah.
So tell us about your mamahood journey, how old you were when you became a mom and how old your kiddos are now.
Yeah. So I was 28 when I had my son. He is now 2.5, which is crazy to say because it feels like yesterday that I had him. And I always dreamed of being a mom. That was since I was a little girl. I always dreamed of being a mom. So that's always been at the forefront of all, quite frankly, all the decisions in my life. And so becoming a mom was like literally a dream come true. And um, it's been everything and more. However, dreams are hard. Dreams are hard, even though they come true. They are really hard. And I've learned a lot of lessons in becoming a mom. It is so much more than you can read about it, you can watch stuff, you can see all the movies and everything, but until you're in it, so you're in it and feeling it and experiencing it day to day, you really don't know how hard it may be. It's the greatest thing I've ever done, and it's quite frankly the hardest thing I've ever done. Um, but I absolutely love it, and he's just the best little boy. His name is Everett, and he just keeps me very busy and very motivated. And I he inspires me so much. I think moms are tired. Moms are tired. I think they're just more tired than anything because it's 24/7. It's the 24/7 job. And yet we can still find the energy and the bandwidth to get things done. And he inspires me and motivates me even when I'm like, I'm so tired. I can't get this done today. I just look at him and I know that that's my motivator and kind of keeps me going. And so, only 2.5 years into my motherhood journey, but I just know that there's so much more ebbs and flows to come. And I look forward to that and just seeing him grow. And it's wild to see how fast it goes. Unfortunately, like sometimes I just want to like stop time and be like, yeah, just stay here for a second. And that's luckily we live in the day and age where I can video and photograph everything I possibly can. I know if you look at any mom's phone, their whole camera roll is probably their child. And so I'm lucky enough to have that, but it's just so fast. And once you get used to one routine, you're on to the next routine because they're growing up and nap time is different and all the things are different,
Yep.
which is both great because it's keeping you on your toes and also
Uh-huh.
like, wait, I just got used to this schedule and
Right.
now,
Right.
now we're
And you
fixing
just
it.
changed and everything just changed in a heartbeat. Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what motherhood journey is, right? That's what motherhood is. Motherhood is learning how to pivot, how to be okay with the pivot, and then take that and go forward with, okay, now I got to manage this where we are now, right? Because what you liked to eat yesterday apparently is gross to you today. So fabulous, because I just bought 10 bananas and you won't touch them. So, that's welcome to motherhood, right?
Yeah.
My one of my favorite things that I look back on is the unsolicited advice and myths that were told to me, like, like sleep when the baby sleeps. And you're like, that doesn't work, people.
Hmm.
Like maybe once in a while, but not on a daily basis, because guess what? If I do that, no one's wearing clean clothes for the rest of their lives. And we don't have any dishes to eat dinner off of. So awesome. Love that that's a
Hmm.
thought, but it doesn't work out that way.
Right.
So yeah, the learning curve, and then, I have to say, I'm 25 years into this with my oldest, and I learn every day. I'm making this up every day. I'm trying to figure it out. Parenting adults is a whole nother ball game, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like I've not done this before either. So yeah, okay, let's just go with that answer. And the answer that I would have given maybe 20 years ago and the answer I give now is completely different, because 2026 is a crazy ass year and there's so much weirdness going on and all the things. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So what's been your biggest challenge of, you're 2.5 years in, what's been your biggest challenge?
Quite frankly, the biggest challenge was and can still be is the sleep deprivation. I think that was the most jarring and abrupt change in my life. Even though having a child changes literally everything. My son was a terrible sleeper. Some people are just blessed with children that sleep. I was not one of those. My child did not sleep through the night until he was one, and even then, it was still, touch and go.
Yep.
And so that sleep deprivation hit me so hard and made postpartum and all the hormones and all the other changes so much harder. And like I had mentioned earlier, I wasn't doing self-care and wasn't minding all of that, but the sleep deprivation just was awful. And I wish, you know, hindsight is always 2020, but I wish I would have tried some other things. Everyone was giving advice, there's all these books and everything like that. And I next time around I will definitely try different things, but that sleep deprivation and just how tired, because you don't sleep all night and you still have to do all of the things you have to do, and that lives on for days and months and sometimes years, and that is so difficult to maintain a level of sanity, quite frankly. And like everyone around me kind of knew, okay, this is what's happening with Allison, like how can we help? And luckily very lucky enough to have a village of people who could see that and want to help. But at the end of the day, it's me and my husband at night, and that's when it's the hardest. And so I think if I had known, and anyone listening, I don't want this to be like a blanket statement because not everyone's experiences
Right.
this,
Right.
but I wish someone somewhere would have said that in some cases it can be that your child literally doesn't sleep. My son would only sleep in my arms He wanted to eat throughout the night the whole year. I mean, it was just very, very hard. And I hadn't heard, I mean, you always hear moms are tired and things like that, but I didn't understand the level of which, oh, your kid actually isn't sleeping. And
Yeah.
like, what does that look like? And what do you mean? And I like say it. No, like my kid didn't sleep. That meant I didn't sleep, which meant I wasn't, happy. I was really tired. I cried all the time. And I just didn't know what to do. Like you're just kind
Yep.
of lost because you're doing what you can for your child. Okay, my kid will only sleep if I hold him. Okay, well then I guess that's what I'm doing and I'm, staying up all night
Yep.
every night. And so I think although that's what the journey was, had I been able to maybe mentally prepare for that possibility, I maybe would have been like, "Oh, okay, this I'm not crazy. This isn't just me. Other people experience this." And for anyone listening that is going through that, my son now sleeps. Okay. He sleeps, he takes naps. We are not in that part of, motherhood anymore. And I'm thankful for that. But your child will eventually sleep. And people would tell me that. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't want to hear that right now. But just know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and he or she will sleep. um, you just kind of have to hang tight for the moment and just know that like I see you, I hear you, I know it is so hard and you're so tired and you want to like scream your head off.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that has just been, even with all the challenges we have maybe now, nothing is as hard as that sleep deprivation during that time.
Did you ever try like a sleep consultant or any of those things? Did you ever try asking for help from somebody?
I never invested in any of that because I just wasn't in the budget. I would go to my pediatrician and they would recommend all these tools and things like that. And a lot of times, like, they cost money.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have that in me. And so I would
Yep.
watch like TikToks or YouTube videos. And quite frankly, when it's 3 in the morning and I haven't slept, I'm not remembering
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's funny when we talk about sleep deprivation, and like you said before, like until you're in it and you are experiencing it, you don't know what tired is until you have taken care of a baby for 2 weeks and literally haven't had good REM sleep, right? And then I think one of the things we talk about with sleep deprivation is that's how, like in war, that's how they torture people. Like they don't let them sleep. And so when you think about that, like when you think about what is the worst way you could torture somebody to get an answer out of them, and it's to not let them sleep, that's what we're doing to ourselves. I mean, that's what our children sometimes are doing to us. And some people do better with that than others. Just like, some people can do like intermittent fasting and it totally works for them and they can handle that and that works for them and they can train their bodies. Some people can train their bodies on the whole sleep deprivation thing and they seem to do okay with it. Others cannot. And there are certain people like growing up, when I was little, my mom put me in morning kindergarten because she knew I needed to take a nap in the afternoons because that's who I was. I napped until first grade. Like I needed that sleep to be able to function. And that's who I was, right? So sleep was a very big proponent, like a big deal in my family. So then this is funny, when I had my third child, um, all he did was sleep. All he did was sleep. Like he would get up, he would eat, and he would sleep. And then he would get up, he would eat, and he would sleep. And like he would even sleep through pooping. Like he would sleep and sleep and sleep. I finally called the pediatrician. Now I had had two other kids, right? They're 7 and 4 at this point. And so I called the pediatrician. I was like, there is something wrong with this child. Like he never stops sleeping. And he's like, why are you calling me? Like, you should just be. I was like, no, no, no. I've had two kids. Neither of them did this. And he was like, right, but you haven't had this kid. And this kid needs sleep, so let him sleep. And I was like, okay, like I don't think we saw him for the first like 6 months of his life because he just slept, right? So everyone is different, and now he's, I believe, narcoleptic. To be totally honest with you, the kid is 18 and can fall asleep standing up, like he's crazy. But every one of us has a different threshold of what our bodies and our brains and our emotions can handle when it comes to lack of sleep. And some people, my husband goes on 5 hours of sleep a night. Totally normal for him. If he gets more than that, he's tired. I don't get it. I'm a
Right.
7 to 8 hour a night solid, right? We're
Hmm.
all different. We're all, you know what I mean? So I get that. And so when you have baby number two, will you do it differently? I guess is the question.
There's no option otherwise. Like it will be different because one, I have Everett now.
Yep.
So I won't be able to function at that level that I
Yep.
was.
Yeah.
And so, there's so much being a first time mom, there's just so much worry. You don't know what you don't know. And
Yep.
now going into it, I know more. I don't know everything,
Sure.
obviously, but I know
Sure.
more. And I know like what's worth the anxiety, what's worth losing sleep over, essentially. And so like I was so scared to transfer him into his crib. So I kept him in our room for much longer than I probably should have, just because, SIDS is
Yeah.
everywhere and you
Sure.
hear all these things. And I'm like,
Yep.
postpartum anxiety is also a thing. And I'm
Oh,
like,
for sure.
although I'm not sleeping, I'll just keep him in our room anyways, because I can at least see him. And so now that I know, just I can ease my anxiety and know what to worry about, I think I will try different methods.
Yeah.
You know, everyone recommends, a certain kind of schedule
Yep.
and
And live
all
and
those
learn,
kinds of
right?
routines.
We all live and
Yeah.
learn. We live and we go, oh yeah, that didn't work. And
Hmm.
insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting the same outcome or a different
Right.
outcome, right? And you're going to get the same outcome if you do the same thing. So it's just learning, right? And figuring out, and then maybe this child, totally different. Maybe this child is
Right.
like, leave me alone. I just want to be in my own space. I don't want you to hold me to sleep. Who knows, right? So
Yeah.
it's just every kid is different. Every situation is different. Now you'll have another child in the house who is going to be loud and obnoxious. And so you know what I mean? So
Right.
there's always another challenge and there's always another, how do I solve this issue and learning. But, I think being open to learning it, being open to trying different things and realizing that not everything works for everybody and
Hmm.
trying, oh, that didn't work. I'm going to try something different. And as opposed to, well, I did it this way. I think that's where a lot of people get stuck where, well, this is how I've always done it. But does it always work for you? Right? Like
Right.
there's always other ways. You just have to be open to it.
Yeah. And
Um,
I think also just you can plan. I read all the books that I possibly could and absorbed all the information I possibly could handle.
yep.
And yet, like you just said, like every kid is different. So you
Mhm.
kind of have to be flexible.
Flexible.
And that can be hard when you're like, but I'm learning everything new for the first time. Like, this is what the book says. Well, your kid doesn't care that
Nope. Kid
that's what
can't
it says.
read. Kid can't
Yeah.
read. Nope. Yeah,
So to be able to be
yep.
flexible is just so key. So
It
yeah.
really is. The being okay with the pivot and being okay with like it's not the way I pictured it. It's so funny because when I meet, first time moms and they're like, I have this beautiful birth plan and I'm like, awesome. You know what plans are about, right? Like you can plan anything you want, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. So be prepared that yes, that sounds amazing. And if it works out that way, awesome. But you better be okay with the fact that that might not work out and
Hmm.
probably won't, right? So just be prepared and be ready for the pivot, right? And the
Right.
flexibility is huge. So,
Yep.
who's your biggest supporter as a new mom?
I am so lucky that I have my best friend right next door. Like
Oh,
that, I
wow.
know that is out of a movie. I know that we did become best friends after we moved in, but we were just lucky enough to have that. And she um was a mom long before I was a mom, and so she has just years of experience, and that I got to just pull from that. And so she knew, moms know, to check in at times that maybe other people didn't know when to check in. Like,
Yep.
oh, you're dealing with this. Okay, how are you? How's your mental health? Like, what was the last time you took a shower? Stuff like that. And like really helping me with like my breastfeeding journey and like knowing how hard that can be and like asking those kinds of questions and just being that other mom who gets it, has been in my position and can relate, has just been like one of the greatest gifts I've ever
Yeah.
had. And like, I don't know how I possibly could have gotten through all that I did as well as I did without her. And that's why I think it's just so important to other people to like find at least someone you can text or vent to, or like whatever method you need to just be like, this is really hard. This is so hard. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yep.
Breastfeeding hurts. Like, what am I doing wrong? Did you experience this? Like,
Yep.
is this normal? The amount of times I would text her and be like, is this
Is this
normal?
normal? Is this color poop normal? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, he's making this sound. Is this normal? You
Yep.
know, every time it was. And it's just, she was like that little voice of reason I needed, and like assurance that, like, yeah, that's normal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is hard. And hearing someone else say exactly what you're feeling and validate that, it does wonders for your health, because it's like, yeah, yeah, you see me. Oh yeah, that is hard. Okay, I'm not crazy. Like,
Yep.
this isn't just for me, like to feel this burden or what it may feel like. And so I will forever be like indebted to her, because I know I thrived in the areas that I did because of her, and just being
Mm-hmm.
able to lean on her. So yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Are you guys still close?
Oh yes. I mean, we text every day. We hop over to each other's houses. Like, it's just the best thing to have. I wish everyone could have their best friend next door.
Me
If
too.
I could do that.
I wish I could have my best friend next door. Mine live in different states. Dang it. You are a lucky duck. You really are.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
that is a dream come true. I do have some phenomenal neighbors and some people I can count on for sure, but
Yeah.
not quite the same. Tell me what's been so far your best mama moment.
My best mama moment is kind of twofold. So I think there's nothing like it when you can see your kid start to do something that you taught them, right? Like, they know how to walk because of you, right? They know how to use a fork and, knock, 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 and all the things that literally they are doing is because of you. And when you can kind of realize that, it's a little bit of like a pat on the back, like, wow, I did that. And I think that's just ongoing, and I'm sure you still experience that well into adulthood, like, wow, they know how to do this because I have taught them that, and that is just so joyous. But also, from more of like, a therapeutic standpoint, of all the tools and books and podcasts I've listened to of like how to parent and like be the best that I can be, and then to remember to implement those tools. And when I've realized, like, oh, like, I'm reacting in a certain way that is helpful for him, like, is a proud moment as a mom to know that I am instilling, good regulation methods for him, and just emotional regulation, and how he'll talk about himself, and just all those kinds of things have been really proud for me to be able to know that I'm doing good for my child. And it can be hard to remember all those tools. Like, I'm sure a lot of moms read all these books and take in all this information, but to actually be active
Implement.
on it,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard.
Oh,
There's
for
so much
sure.
to remember. And
Yeah.
like, how can I, in the moment, remember to do it? But and it doesn't happen all the time, but when it
Sure.
does, I'm like, oh,
Ah,
good, it
I did
clicked.
it. I
Yes,
did it.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
It's interesting because I don't know exactly what you're talking about because I was a stay-at-home mom with my first for like the first 2.5 years, and I had a second one, and then we moved to Ohio and whatever. But what I remember, like that same thing, like, oh, I taught you that and you
yeah,
retained it and you just used it in a sentence or you did whatever, right? And then I will tell you, one of the hardest parts is when they go off and learn things from other people and then come back and you're like, oh, you know that and I didn't teach you that, right? Good or
mm-hmm.
bad, like you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I remember that day when she came home from kindergarten or preschool, I can't remember which, and she's like telling me something she learned, and I was like, oh, somebody else taught you that. Like it kind of broke me a little, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're the number one influence on their life, and you still will be as their mom, but now there's these other influences coming, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's gonna happen. Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
little bit of almost letting go,
Yep.
which I know is hard, especially
Yep.
as a mom. Like, okay, yeah, other people can influence you. Hopefully
Yeah.
it's all positive. We
Hopefully
know
it won't be. I'm gonna
it won't
guarantee it won't
be.
be. But let's hope most of it. Let's go with it 90%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that best mama moment.
Yeah.
And so if we talk about the best, we have to talk about the worst. So far, what's been your worst mama moment?
Unfortunately, it's happened, more than once. But, when especially in like that first year when that sleep is just so hard, I know just like having a full-on meltdown can sometimes just happen. Like it's just so overwhelming at times. And like I had said, the sleep deprivation was really hard. And just like kind of having those moments in front of your baby can just not feel great. Like I'm just like, this doesn't, it doesn't feel good for me. There's no way this feels good for him. And so, I'm not perfect. No one is. And so I give myself grace on that. But I can also recognize, like, yeah, that wasn't a moment I want to relive. That's not a proud moment. It happens to quite literally everybody. Of
Hmm.
course, how can you not? You're with your baby 24/7, so of course I'm gonna have those feelings in front of him. But I just know, like I just don't want to maybe dwell on that and like, okay, that happened, and now we move on, and like the bad comes with the good, and just kind of recognize it as that. So again, it doesn't happen all the time, and but it happens to everybody, and not to dwell on it and give yourself grace, because like I said, it's so hard. That's like just it's so hard, and I want to validate anyone that may be going through their first time journey or whatever journey. Is just it's hard, and it's
Yep.
okay if you cry, especially if
Yep.
you cry in front of your baby.
Yep. It's all okay. Yep. As long as
Yeah,
they are safe and you are safe, then it's
yeah,
okay, right? And
yeah,
and there is not a mom on this planet who hasn't cried in front of her children. Like,
yeah,
I mean, let's be real, right? It's
yeah.
part of motherhood. It's part of growing in emotions and in our world. And it is the hardest job on the planet because we don't know what we're doing, right? Motherhood is the only job that you never get a standard operating procedure. You don't get, even if I go to McDonald's, there's a sign on the wall that says this is how you assemble a cheeseburger, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I don't get that. I don't get a how to assemble my kid, right?
Yeah.
So, and if somebody tells you they're a parenting expert, I say BS. There's no such thing because you're not a
Hmm.
parenting expert on my kid or me,
Right.
or my household. So you're the only expert of your family and your life, right? And every day it changes. So today you're the expert, but tomorrow you won't be. So it's just knowing that everybody makes mistakes, giving yourself grace, giving others grace, and knowing
Hmm.
that we're all just doing the best we can. Like we are literally building airplanes while we're flying them and doing the best we can. So,
Yes.
but I agree with you. Like the worst mama moments is when I'm disappoint myself, right?
Hmm.
Like, oh yeah, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I shouldn't have acted that way. Oh, I didn't mean that to come out like that, right? Like that's the hardest part, I think, because we are the adult and we're supposed to be. But then sometimes like life gets in the way, emotions get in the way, tears get in the way, anger gets in the way, lack of sleep gets in the way, and we express ourselves, right? I think it's healthy for kids to see parents make mistakes. I think it's healthy for kids to see parents melt down in a
Hmm.
in a healthy-ish way, right? Let's be honest, like, not violently, not, whatever, but like we all are literally trying to do the best we can. And so, but our kids need to see that too.
Right.
Um, I remember the very first time I got something wrong in front of my classroom. I was a teacher for over 20 years, and I said something, and I was like, "Wait, nope, that's wrong." And one of the kids goes, "Wait, you made a mistake?" And I was like, "Yeah, I make them all the time." Like, what are you talking about? Like, they just think, just like all kids think their kids live or their teachers live in the basement of the school and they don't actually have a life outside of the four walls there. They, like, yeah, I'm human, right? But when we're put on this pedestal or we're seen as the person who has the answers, we also don't give ourselves the ability to mess up and be wrong,
Hmm.
right? So I agree with you that sometimes that is the hardest part is disappointing myself.
Hmm.
And then also, and you may have not experienced this yet at 2.5, but when your kids disappoint you And sometimes you don't know how to handle that because it's never happened before in that way.
Right.
They've never done that thing. They've never said that thing. They've never acted that way. And
Right.
now all of a sudden they're testing their waters and they're saying they're doing things and you're like, "Oh Lord, I don't know how to react to this," right? We have a community expert who comes in and talks to our moms who wrote a book on like a bunch of different topics for parent couples to discuss and to talk through either before you have kids or when you have kids or whatever, just to like honestly it's like the perfect date night conversation. Like you go to a date night and you run out of things to talk about, we pull out this book and you're like, okay, so our 14-year-old just came home drunk, what are we doing? I don't know. Let's talk about it. How do you think we should handle that? Right. So it's one of those. I love that book. I wish I would have had that workbook because it would have at least given me the forethought to be like, oh, this is something I probably should think about because it's probably going to happen. Right.
Hmm.
And so I love the learning, but also the have you thought of this? Have you thought of this might happen, right? Not to stress people out, not to be like, oh my God, I have to have every answer, but like, maybe think about it. Maybe have a conversation and be on a similar page. You don't always have to be on the same page, but a similar page. So anyway, that love that. And what do you wish you would have known when you became a mama, besides the sleep thing?
Right. Yeah. Um, well, I think asking for help is so necessary. And you don't realize, as someone who might be like super independent, like I would consider myself, like this is my child. This was all like my decision. Like I shouldn't, but you should ask for help. People love to help. Like if you are in the right circle, if you're, hopefully connected with good people, like they want to help. Like I know when, I have a mom friend who can lean on me, that also makes me feel good. So it's never going to be a burden when you ask, the right people for help. And I think that can help, literally help everyone. It's fulfilling for the other person. It's going to literally change your current predicament, whether it even is just like calling someone that just a vent, that is helpful. Or maybe it's asking someone, can you please watch him for 30 minutes so I can close my eyes because I have to. Like I have
Yep.
to.
Yep.
Help looks different and it can look different every day, but if you can learn to be okay asking for it and that it's not a bad thing and it can actually be a really good thing and can actually strengthen friendships and all these things, it's going to change your motherhood journey, quite frankly. And so if someone had said, like, maybe phrased it like that, yeah, asking for help is actually a good thing. You're recognizing like maybe you're at your limit
Yep.
and someone else can help, take over for a second and like
Yep.
give you a breather. And that's a good thing. Hey, you recognize that for yourself and not look at it as the opposite of like, oh, I'm not doing enough or I should just keep going and push through. Pushing through isn't always a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think, again, going forward with the next baby, like I'll know that and that will change literally my day-to-day life, knowing even just if I don't even take someone up on it, maybe it's just knowing that I can will like just take some pressure off of me. And that pressure is heavy sometimes. And so
Yeah.
being able to just lift it off a little, like, oh, I have my best friend next door, like she is right there. And like knowing I can call her or just come on over. Like I just need someone to watch him for a sec. Like little things like that are important. So I hope anyone knows it's a good thing. It's helpful for everybody. Your friends want to help you.
Yes, they do.
Sometimes you have to tell them what you need. Like, you know, whether it be like watching him, I need to do a load of laundry. Can you just talk to me, sit here so I'm not the only adult here all day?
Yep. Yep. And sometimes
um
that's all you need.
yeah. And I think, it's not always like, can you just, you watch them for a week? No, help looks different all in so many different ways. And so, um, knowing that it's okay and that it's necessary and it's part of it. It takes a village. They don't say that for no reason. Like it
Yep.
literally takes a village, and I hope everyone can find a village. It can be hard, but organizations like Yana is there for a reason to help create that village, and we all as moms know the importance of it and that we can lean on each other and we want to be leaned on so we can lean on others. And so that I wish I had known that going in, and maybe someone could phrase it like that. And now I know, and I welcome the help, and I also welcome helping others in
Yeah.
that regard.
Awesome. Love this. Thank you for sharing your story and your thoughts. Tell us again where they can find you.
Yes, you can find us at mymotherhoodagenda.com or at my motherhood agenda on all social platforms. I would love to connect with any one of you, and you can hopefully check out some of our planners. I know that they could help some people out there and do some self-care, and self-care looks different for everybody. So I hope everyone can kind of explore that for themselves. And thank you so much for having me on. I am so appreciative of this opportunity and getting to talk to you today.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm so glad we could make this happen.
Yes, thank you.
And we will see you next time on Let's Be Real Mama Journeys.